Oh, Captain, my Captain. This is our DFS Showdown slate, Captain lineup video, and all the other adjectives that go with that. I'm your host this evening, Joshua Hudson. With me, as always, Mr. Austin Amandolia, who we'll get to here in a bit. This week for Thursday Night Football, we are previewing the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. This is Oh Captain, my Captain, Club Fantasy's DFS Showdown slate video previewing your Thursday Night Football DFS lineups and all the other good jazz. I'm Josh Hudson, your host. Austin, the real captain of this ship. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be on week 2. Week 1 is always a time, and hopefully things start to settle down this week. We get to normalcy.
Well, see, this is why you play DFS, because when your season-long lineups shit the bed because all your great players suck, you say, you know what? Well, I put so-and-so dart throw for $1,000 in my lineup, and I cashed $2,500.
That is exactly right.
Of course.
That is the beautiful thing.
We're going to get to that here in a second. So last week we previewed the kickoff slate. It was the Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs. This week, as mentioned in the intro, it's Buffalo versus Miami. Austin, friendly reminder, tell everybody how they can play these DFS Showdown lineups against us here at Club Fantasy.
Yeah, so you can play against us weekly on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We have links in the show description. You can only play the Showdown slates on the DraftKings site, so maybe prioritize that one a little bit if you're watching this episode. But we put out contests frequently. You can come, take our money. That's not that hard sometimes. You know, sometimes we do really badly.
Definitely not hard to really well. I did finish second in, I think it was the Sunday night one that we did.
Yeah, you, me, and
you won that one, actually.
Yeah. Yes, I did. So sometimes I take your money, but sometimes you take our money.
Okay. It's okay. All right. And before we get into things, we got to pay some bills. So remember, our partnership with Trophy Smack, our sister site, Women of Fantasy Football and Trophy Smack, have a great offer for you if you're unfamiliar with Trophy Smack. It's all about gloating. It's championships. It's achievement-based products. So trophies, belts, rings, pretty things to put on your wall so it doesn't look like you live in a prison. All types of things you can get at Trophy Smack. You want to get your commissioner some stuff as a thank you. They have rings, turnover-style chains, all kinds of stuff. You want to, embarrass the hell out of the loser of your fantasy league. They have, quote, I suck at fantasy football products too. All of it at Trophy Smack. Go to trophysmack.com/WOFF. That's WOFF. Use our unique affiliate link and help us do some great things with Women of Fantasy Football as a result. Once again, that's trophysmack.com/WOFF. All right. Let's recap a little bit of last week because everybody knows week 1 can be quite a crapshoot when it comes to the NFL. Players that you expect to be really good get off to some slow starts, which is understandable considering lack of preseason participation. Coaches don't want to get their star players hurt. We 100% get that. So, Austin, you did pretty damn well last week, buddy. Not going to lie. Let's recap some of these picks that you had.
Yeah, it was a good start to the season. For reference, I'm pulling these outcomes from the DraftKings contest, the Showdown 2K Huddle. It's a single entry contest. I like the smaller entry contest. This was 451 entries, $2,000 total in prizes. The winning lineup in that contest had Rashee Rice as the captain, who was one of our contrarian captains last week. Had Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, Isaiah Likely, and Xavier Worthy. The only one of those that wasn't named on the show was Xavier Worthy. 5 out of the 6 players in the optimal lineup we discussed on this show last week. I placed 49th in this contest, so I got to cash, which is pretty nice. So it was a pretty good week. Got off to a good start. I feel good. My favorite thing is when you pick the right captain. When the captain is in the optimal lineup, that is one of the best feelings to me. So off to a good start. Hoping to replicate it this week.
Love it. All right, let's get into the picks. And as judging by the backdrop on this video, if you're watching us on YouTube, this is very sea themed with pirate ships and all that good stuff. So, of course, the first section, Captain Chalk. This is the chalky captain that everybody is likely to pick because they're just that damn good. And Austin, I first want to say thank you for matching up one of the players that I put on the thumbnail. Let's talk about Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I could have named both players that were on the thumbnail because they are going to most likely both be the highest rostered captain spots. I went with Josh Allen because he just popped off for 35 points on DraftKings scoring. He went off in week 1. I think there's still probably some narrative buzz that Josh Allen owns Miami going around that will probably continue to have him be utilized heavily in that captain spot. And also, it's a trend at this point over the past few games. Since right now, I'm referencing data since week 16 of last season. I'm not using week 1 data exclusively yet because it's one data point. It's not going to give us the most accurate stuff. So I'm kind of averaging stuff with the end of last season. Miami has given up the second most points per game to the quarterback position since week 16 of last season. It's a pretty good matchup for Josh Allen. It's going to be a little bit tougher because there's going to be more pressure, but he should run a lot. He's probably going to be the most highly rostered captain. If you're in cash games, if you're in really small field stuff, you really can't go wrong with him at the captain spot.
Hey, I mean, he's most expensive for a reason. He's the best damn player on the field, probably, right? So, especially when it comes to that Buffalo Bills offense, they're still working out the pecking order in this receiver room. At this point, who's the one guy on Buffalo that you truly trust? To me, and obviously to you, it's Josh Allen. So, definitely understand this pick. Look, the other guy on the thumbnail, it's Tyreek Hill. He doesn't need much explanation. All right, let's go to our next section here. This is going to be the Mutineer. This is the Contrarian Captain choice that offers a wee bit of variety, but also some upside when you're going into these larger field tournaments. Austin, you have two guys here, one from each team. Let's stay on the Buffalo train and let's talk about James Cook.
Yeah, so James Cook, first off, on DraftKings, if you're putting him in the captain spot, he is $13,500. I think he's about the 5th most expensive player on the slate, so he's a little bit further down the board. On FanDuel, he's $12K. The idea here is that we're flipping the script on what the expected game script is going to be for this game. People are going to expect for this game to be passing heavy because you have Josh Allen, who's going to spread the ball around. You're going to have Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle on the other side, catching a lot of passes. And the over-under is at 48.5 points. So people are going to expect lots of passing. I like the idea of getting contrarian, especially if I'm in a particularly large field tournament. I want to have James Cook. Like if I'm in one of those where there's thousands and thousands of entries, I'm going James Cook at the captain spot. I'm going to flip the script a little bit, have a kicker in there, maybe a defense, or maybe running backs from both sides to just bet on the game hitting the under. I do think Miami also has not defended running backs fairly well. So I am a fan of that. Don't count week 1 because Jacksonville is Jacksonville, and don't use Jacksonville as your example for Miami right now because they're not going to be the caliber of team as Buffalo is at this point in the season. So I'm a fan of James Cook.
True, but they did run the ball pretty well against Miami.
They did.
Let's not forget about that.
They did. They didn't really get in the end zone with their running backs too, which I think is why it's might look a little bit deceiving. So I do like James Cook.
They did. It's just that running back's name is Josh Allen because he is their RB1. Let's be real here.
Yes. So on the Miami side, I like Jaylen Waddle, and this is probably my favorite captain for the week. I would do it in small and large field stuff because of the fact that everybody is going to be keeping their eyes on Tyreek Hill. But Jaylen Waddle, he went 5 for 100 yards last week. That's still a really great performance. If he gets in the end zone once, that really helps out a ton. And his rostership percentage is most likely going to be lower and low enough that it can help push you up the board if he does well. He's 12,900 on DraftKings, so he's a little cheaper than James Cook if you have him in the captain spot. 11K on FanDuel. I will say too, I like James Cook better on FanDuel because of the half PPR website. I like Jaylen Waddle more on DraftKings because it's a full PPR site.
I would flip that simply because of the receiving upside to James Cook, and Jaylen Waddle tends to do more damage with less catches.
Yeah, I think the thing is,
that
is one way to look at it. James Cook, the half PPR aspect of it, you also want touchdowns. And I do think James Cook, even though he doesn't get a ton of red zone touches, he could fall in the end zone. And I tend to favor running backs on a half PPR site because of that touchdown equity side.
100% makes sense. I love the Jaylen Waddle pick simply because, last year it was always, if Tyreek has a great game, Waddle's going to suck. If Tyreek's out, well, then Waddle's going to do great. They go through, they extend Waddle this year, and they said, look, maybe we need to actually prioritize this guy. And then, boom, both him and Tyreek Hill go for 100 yards last week. So, hey, maybe something's cooking down there in Miami. We actually get, Jaylen Waddle wide receiver 1 season. All right, next topic here is the first mate. So this is, let's face it, these are the flex plays. Every captain needs a reliable crew, so let's maximize your lineups. Once again, one guy from each team. Austin, Devon Achane's coming in with a little bit of injury issues. Shocking, 180-pound running back. Why do you like Achane here outside of the fact that he's just really freaking good with the football in his hands?
It's because he's really freaking good with the football in his hands, and he did lead the running back room in touches last week. Now, this is one of those deals. Keep an eye on the injury reports because if he's reported inactive before the game or anything like that, you will want to pivot. It's also it's a bet on one of the Miami running backs. One of them will probably do well. That is the lesson we learned last year. And so in some ways, bet on your favorite one, except one that I think you shouldn't bet on this week. And I'm going with Devon Achane also because of the way he was utilized in the pass game and how that benefited him, particularly on a site like DraftKings. He caught 7 catches last week. It's pretty good. It's basically a touchdown. It is a touchdown and scoring. So love that for the flex play. On the Buffalo side, I am a fan of Khalil Shakir, and this is essentially betting on him being the most consistent wide receiver in the Buffalo room. Keon Coleman is getting the attention coming out of week 1 because he scored a touchdown, but he was not the leading catcher in Buffalo last week. That was indeed Khalil Shakir. And so week over week, I'm betting on Shakir to be the more sure thing. Josh Allen does like to spread the ball around. But I think Shakir is a good, safe bet to get consistent targets.
I was going to say, I started Shakir in a couple lineups last week, talking less DFS in this point, but there was one lineup I put Shakir in over Brandon Ayuk. And I felt okay about it. Didn't care. And it paid dividends. So, I like Shakir. Buffalo is one of these offenses that right now they don't have a definitive wide receiver 1 yet. So these first few weeks of the season is going to be a lot of, all right, we got to start following the data, the route participation, snap shares, all these different types of things, because that's going to clue us in more as we get towards the meat of the season, where some of these prices here on DraftKings and FanDuel are really going to start taking shape as a result of that. So get in on some of these pass catchers a la Khalil Shakir while you can when they're, less expensive. All right, next topic. The deck scrubbers. These are the cheaper punt plays that can make or break a lineup based on one play or limited opportunity. So you're actually sticking with Buffalo here, and you've got 2 options. Let's start with Dawson Knox.
Yeah, so my favorite way to build for this game is to go a little bit off script of what I typically do and be heavier on the Buffalo side. So I'm probably doing 4 players from the Buffalo side of this and 2 players from Miami in my lineups on DraftKings. which is different than what I'll typically do because Buffalo is actually they're underdogs in this matchup per Vegas. I usually like to stack more heavily on the favored team, but I'm flipping the script this week. And I'm going to have a couple of guys like Dawson Knox in my lineup. Dawson Knox, he had as many targets. He had as many catches last week as Dalton Kincaid. Bummer for Dalton Kincaid truthers. But Dawson Knox, he's a good red zone target. I like the touchdown upside. He's the type of player, he can have 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. That's going to be great. It could be what you need to differentiate your lineup, and he's going to have lower rostership than a guy like Dalton Kincaid, who people are more excited about pulling for. Also on the Buffalo side, I am a fan of Tyler Bass this week. I think that while this game has the potential to get to shootout, I do think that these defenses are a bit tougher than what they were last year. And they're especially on the Miami side, and that Buffalo might stall out a couple of times and have to kick a couple of field goals. If Tyler Bass is getting you 10 to 15 fantasy points on DraftKings, that could be just enough to get your lineup different, because people may just want to spam all of the pass catchers and all of the offensive weapons on both sides of the ball. And if it ends up this game hits the under and only a few of those pass catchers and those position players get the touches, having the kicker could be the big differentiator.
All right. And before we get to the last segment here, Austin, remind everybody once again that they can come play with us here at Club Fantasy.
Yes, we have a league on DraftKings and on FanDuel. You can find the links in the show description. We put out contests every week for the main slate, and we put out showdown slates here and there, so you get to play with us and come take our money.
You can hit the links in the description here on YouTube, but also in the description on whichever site you are listening to this podcast. All right, final segment is the Kraken. These are the lineup traps that sink the ship. I'm going to start with the obvious one here, Austin, because once Raheem Mostert was ruled out, everybody said it's Jeff Wilson Jr. season, and you're saying pump the brakes. What's up with that, man? Why you hating?
I've been hating on Jeff Wilson for a while. Not been a big fan of his game for a little bit. I think, too, the thing about it is he doesn't have the pass game utilization. And this team did not run the ball well last week against Jacksonville. Jeff Wilson, he led this team in rushing, which can be really deceiving because he had a whopping 25 rushing yards. It was not much. The whole team combined for 81 rushing yards. Jeff Wilson is not going to catch the ball enough for it to make a difference. Now, Buffalo is a team that you can run on, but unless Achane is ruled out, I am avoiding Jeff Wilson. I don't see him having the level of impact. I think they will spread the ball around a little bit more instead of trying to pound the rock with Jeff Wilson.
I mean, he did average 5.2 yards per carry. I mean,
with 5 carries. Okay, but no. This is the Tony Pollard phenomenon. We're like, oh, he averages 6 yards on 10 carries. And then you give him 20 carries, and all of a sudden he's averaging 3 yards.
That's all right. The real punt play here. Jaylen Wright, baby. But, Austin, you got one more from the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, I do actually. Jaylen Wright is a little interesting because of his speed. But on the Buffalo Bills side, one of the trap plays is Mack Hollins, who is 1,600 on DraftKings. Look. It's cool he got in the end zone on week 1. He is primarily a blocking receiver. He will get a little frisky in the pass game every now and then. There's going to be times when he pops off. If you're in a particularly large field, I get it, especially if you're doing a large field multi-entry lineup. But if you are in a small field contest, if you're in a single field contest, it's too much for me. I'm not betting on him scoring a touchdown in back-to-back weeks. He only had 2 catches last week and scored a touchdown on one of them. That is not going to sustain itself throughout the course of the season. So I would rather get my contrarian nature elsewhere than Mack Hollins.
I like it. All right. And once again, a reminder, our partnership with Trophy Smack, our sister site, Women of Fantasy Football. and Trophy Smack have you covered for all of your achievement-based needs. You want a trophy, you want a ring, you want a nice championship belt that you can put on a mantle behind you and tell all your league mates they suck. Go to trophysmack.com/WOFF. That's WOFF. Use that unique link and help us to continue to grow the Women of Fantasy Football movement. All right. That is this week's episode of Oh Captain, My Captain. That is Austin Amandolia at Austin_FFL on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at the one Hudsonian. That's the number 1 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good jazz. But more importantly, follow Club Fantasy at Club Fantasy FFL on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and search Club Fantasy FFL on all your favorite podcast networks. Check out all the great work that we're doing in both Redraft, Dynasty, as well as DFS. With that, sayonara.